Welcome into the show, everybody. It's the Farley Show presented by MyBookie, MyBookie.ag. It's wonderful to have you along for the ride. Later than usual late today. Had to do some hard dadding earlier today. Little Toot's having a bit of a morning, but we've barricaded the studio. I think we're safe here. Welcome in once again. Hope your brackets are just beautiful. I was at the Crystal Tea Room yesterday for a benefit for Phil Abundance. Phenomenal organization. Had a great time. A lot of people there. It went from noon to, I think, 8 or 9 p.m. I wasn't there for that portion of it. I was there for about the first 2 hours of it. Got to hang with some people I haven't seen in a long time. Well, Natalie Eganoff, I see quite a bit. She also works with the Philadelphia Wings, my good friend. Jeff Skaversky, remember him from 6ABC? He's been on this show once or twice. He just was in Detroit for a year, and now he's back in the Philadelphia area. Great to catch up with him. Awesome event for an awesome cause, and saw a lot of familiar faces from our beloved Philadelphia sports industry. So it was great to catch up with some people. Yesterday, we got some news. One of the most beloved members of the Philadelphia Phillies, the Vibes, the vibe, the master of vibes for the Philadelphia Phillies clubhouse, Garrett Stubbs. I've been talking about this while we've mentioned spring training. Of all the things to watch, the number one thing to watch was the backup catcher position. You want to see if Andrew Painter develops, but I think we kind of knew what was going to happen there with Andrew Painter. I think we knew who the number one catcher was going to be, most definitely. Johan Rojas getting healthy, being back in center field, seeing what the Phillies will do in that spot throughout the season. Max Kepler, what's he going to do for this team during the regular season? The new acquisition there in left field, what could possibly happen here? The leadoff spots there for Trey Turner and Kyle Schwarber, what's going to go down? But the real battle, if you want to call it that, was Rafael Marchand versus Garrett Stubbs. And I told you guys last week, despite the fact that at the moment, Garrett Stubbs was hitting something like 340. And Rafael Marchand was hitting 230, something around there. It wasn't going to matter. The Phillies were going to give the opportunity to Rafael Marchand to be the backup catcher to JT Realmuto. And I think the Phillies realized something. This is my main reason for believing this. The Phillies have to change something with JT Realmuto. Now, last year, he only played 99 games. But you still can't have a 34, 35-year-old catcher playing 130, 140 games. It is way too much for JT. And I love JT. And you can't have him go into the postseason and not get a hit for the NLDS. That can't happen. 0 for a series can't happen. And I know, again, he only played 99 games, but as I've told you guys a number of times about other sports, including baseball, all athletes, when a player's hurt, you can't just look at it as, oh, he only played 99 games, so he was on vacation for all those other games. For 63 other games, he had his feet up. He was getting massages, all that. No. Sometimes rehab is even more difficult than actually playing the game and actually going through the grind because you're pushing yourself to the limit. You're testing injuries, and that can be a lot of work. That can be quite taxing. So you're going to need somebody else to go in there that can take the workload. And Garrett Stubbs, God love him, isn't the guy. And everything he has done for this organization, whether it's being the vibes guy, whether it's a walk-off home run 3 years ago against the Marlins, the bat spike, just being that guy, whatever it is. Decent arm behind the plate, it's time to move on. And I know the phrase that was used yesterday by Dave Dombrowski was the business side of baseball. You'll hear it from Garrett Stubbs as well. Let you hear from him on the show, courtesy of Phillies.com and CBS3. That it's the business of baseball. He had an option left. Rafael Marchand does not. So Stubbs gets optioned. Marchand stays up. Who's a better ball player? I got reason to believe that Rafael Marchand is going to have a better big league career than Garrett Stubbs, like individually speaking here. I mean, Garrett Stubbs had, 2 home runs in the last 2 years. Home run last year, home run the year before. Rafael Marchand came up and didn't even play a month of the season and has 3 home runs. Like, just, you're looking for a backup catcher. You're also looking for a bat off the bench that can give you some pop. Not only are you looking for a guy that could spell JT Realmuto here and there, but you're also looking for a guy that could spell JT Realmuto not just for a day off, but what if you want to keep JT's bat in the lineup for a day? And you want to have confidence that somebody else can pop one off as your backup catcher. This is it's a decision that I know they don't want to make because everyone loves Garrett Stubbs. I love Garrett Stubbs. You probably love Garrett Stubbs. But I think everybody realizes the better option here, the better ball player, is Rafael Marchand. And when you have an aging catcher who has suffered some injuries there last year and was terrible in the playoffs, you kind of want to make sure he's as rested as possible. It kind of helps in the sport of baseball. That's the most individual of the team sports. To have guys that can perform well individually perform. It's one of the sports that you can actually look at and say, oh, you can cut and paste some guys here. Now, normally I was referring to this as recently as yesterday with Brandon Graham and Earl Thomas. When I was talking about, this isn't Madden. These guys have personalities. You got to mesh well in the clubhouse or in the locker room in football. In baseball, yeah, it certainly helps to have that chemistry. And it's an odd thing to talk about in such an individualized sport. But for whatever reason, that matters. Whether it's Joe Girardi calling the shots or it's Rob Thompson calling the shots. For some reason, that chemistry, that vibe, Garrett Stubbs, that matters. There's no analytic for it. There's no numbers for it other than, the team's winning more. That's funny. But you have to have a guy in there that can perform at a high level. And the Phillies have a guy, 26 years old, that has an opportunity here to show that he's worthy of being a big league player. He's had injuries early in his career as well. He had a little glimpse of seeing him in the big leagues last year. And again, he performed well. So now is an opportunity for him to show that he can perform consistently at the big league level. So congrats to Rafael Marchand. Sorry for Garrett Stubbs. Tough decision, but it's the way it crumbles. Here is Garrett Stubbs yesterday, courtesy of Phillies.com. I got this off of CBS3.
It's not the first time I've ever been sent down. Obviously, it's the first time in the last 4 years, 3-4 years or whatever. So getting that tap on the shoulder again is not a good feeling. I know when I'm in AAA that I'll be doing the only thing I know how, which is one, staying prepared for myself and getting myself better to be able to contribute when I do come up. But also prepare the other guys the same way that I did in the big leagues.
You'll be just fine.
Yuki Washington getting the cameo there. What's up, buddy? Here's the thing. The tougher decision is going to come when something happens and the Phillies need another catcher to come up and Garrett Stubbs comes up and then all of a sudden, no more options left. Even if Rafael Marchand isn't playing well, he's still the younger player here, the much younger player here. They're going to hold out hope that he develops into something. He would have to be awful in order for them to go, all right, well, I guess we'll just release Rafael Marchand. All right. And so the tougher decision is something's going to happen. Somebody's going to, tweak something, and Garrett Stubbs is going to be back up at the big league level. Look, I'll put it to you like this. For your AAA affiliate, for the Iron Pigs, I love this for them. You get a guy with all this big league experience over the last 3 years to go down there, handle your pitchers, talk to your guys in your lineup. I love it. You get another 31 years old, Garrett Stubbs, but he's getting an opportunity to go down there and impact some young guys in the Phillies minor league system. He'll be missed, certainly. Smiles galore. But in terms of what could cause some more smiles, Rafael Marchand home runs. That could cause some smiles as well. And also help the vibes. And imagine the vibes if you're giving a clubhouse leader like JT Realmuto a day off or two throughout the season. That'd be a good idea, and Rafael Marchand is a little bit more equipped to do that. I got a lot of confidence in Rafael Marchand, and as I said, going into spring training and said as recently as last week, this is most likely the way it's going to go. And yes, they're going to use the phrase business side of baseball. If there was no options involved in any of this, Rafael Marchand would still get it. And it would be tougher for the Phillies to make because they wouldn't have that excuse, unfortunately. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is the better ball player is getting the job. So good for him. As far as some surprises as spring training winds down and the Phillies start in 6 days in D.C., they start off the 2025 regular season. I got to say, Max Kepler has surprised me in spring training. Now, look, I'm not banking on spring training to dictate to me what's going to happen throughout the entire season. Max Kepler getting signed by the Phils in the offseason did not move the needle much for me. For me, it's all going to come down to September. And yesterday, when I was making my rounds there at the Phil Abundance event in Center City, people were talking about the Sixers, obviously a basketball crowd watching NCAA, and it's like expectations for the Phillies was a big thing. And I think I said, my vibe on it is more so than ever. Like right now, it's the Eagles, and this is the way it usually is. The Eagles are king of the castle, and then everyone else is competing hard for second place in that regard. But the Sixers have been a huge disappointment. And even if they stayed healthy throughout this year, I don't think anyone had them winning the championship. I know I didn't. The Flyers, we know what the Flyers are. They're in a rebuild. That's how we're sitting with the Phillies, with the Flyers right now. So I think most people are looking at the Phillies as that bridge. That'd be interesting until the Eagles start type of thing. But the Phillies, the thing about that I've always hated as a guy that loves baseball, the thing about that I've always hated is just like, okay, yeah, I don't want lasagna, but there is lasagna. So I do like lasagna. I'm going to have lasagna. Like you're not blown away by it, but you like it and you'll deal with it kind of thing. But if it's getting you to that, filet mignon or whatever you want to, then you'll deal with it. For me, I do love the sport of baseball. I hate looking at it as if it's, just a, what do you call it? A nice appetizer to football season. I love football too. But this Phillies team has an opportunity when the season starts to capture people. The Eagles have lost a lot of members on their defense. We're going to get into the guys that have the biggest expectations on this defense of the newcomers here to Philadelphia. But the Phillies, for me, I think have a great opportunity, as they did almost 2 years ago, to have kind of this conversation point for a while. Of the conversation point of 2 years ago is what's happening with Trey Turner. Is he really worth that money? Can he be your leadoff guy? And then about 2 months into the season, they turned it around. And it was kind of a normal thing for the Phils in the last couple of years where they would be maybe mediocre till June, and then the first week of June start to turn it around. I think that would be better for a lot of people this year than what we went through last year, which was an incredible start to the season that we've talked about on the show. It wasn't maintainable. I think we all realize that. But we talked about that, and we got into the idea that it's better for the Phillies to kind of be that middle of the road team and then take off sometime around the All-Star break. And if they could do that, that would capture a lot of people's attention before football season starts up. And that wouldn't just be a bridge to football season. That would be, we have it's hot in September, rolling into October. Could this team possibly make it to the World Series? Could they be a real contender this year? Because I made this point a number of times, and I was making it yesterday at the party. The Phillies are dangerously close, if not already in the same category as the 76ers, which is there was a lot of promise, there's a lot of money spent, and there's no parade. The Phillies, I will at least acknowledge, are a little bit past the Sixers in that regard, considering they have actually played in a World Series. Now, have they taken a step back ever since? Yes, unfortunately, but at least they do have that experience. This Marshawn transaction is not a huge deal. It's not all the headlines in the world or anything like that, but I believe it's one of those things that you'll look back on at the end of the season when the Phillies are in the playoffs. I have them making the playoffs as a wild card team, but it's one of those things I'm going to look back on and say that little tweak did a lot for September, and it did a lot for October. And the number one reason, as I've been saying throughout spring training, that I have confidence in this team actually having a pretty damn good playoff year, is because of their rotation. Now, I'm not doing cartwheels over the idea that Taijuan Walker is going to be your fifth starter or anything like that. But if you have Zach Wheeler, and one thing I will say from spring training is, damn, Aaron Nola looks dialed in. But Wheeler, Nola, and Sanchez starting things off. And then you got Mark Luzardo to be able to throw in there as well. That's a pretty damn good rotation. I mean, you're talking about fourth and fifth starters that you really want to see prove themselves again. Luzardo, of course, proved himself again at the major league level. He's dealt with injuries as well. Taijuan Walker, an abysmal year. I mean, it can't get worse, right? And then Rangers back is fine, and then he comes back, and then Adrian Painter's in, and then, that were great. All right? That's the way it's going to go. But either way, 1, 2, and 3 in this rotation are going to be pretty damn good. It's the bats that concern me. And as they have just all of a sudden going ice cold. That right there is the biggest concern for me when it comes to this Phillies team, because we've seen it happen. Also, it's specifically, and this guy's always under, whenever you have an attitude of Nick Castellanos, which is always like, yeah, I got this. Like, and look, I'm not a Nick Castellanos hater. I don't consider myself really a hater with anybody. When it comes to sports, I don't consider myself a hater. I consider myself a realist. And Nick Castellanos is one of those guys, and I admire his personality in a lot of ways. But if you're playing a sport in Philadelphia, you're going to be under a microscope. If you have a almost laissez-faire attitude about the sport you're playing, you're going to be under the microscope even more. I mean, you can talk about a guy like Bobby Abreu, for instance, who's a damn near Hall of Fame hitter, but was afraid of the wall in right field, as we always say, and didn't want to bat leadoff, so we hated his attitude. Like, things looked kind of natural to Bobby Abreu, and it led people to not like Bobby Abreu. Nick Castellanos is very similar to that. Now, he's not nearly as good a hitter. Let's get that out of the way. But in terms of the approach to the game, I think that's a huge reason as to why people don't like Nick Castellanos. And when you flail away at those sliders outside of the zone consistently, he started last year. If you remember, maybe the first month and a half of the season, he laid off those pitches. It was a thing of beauty. He's showing patience at the plate. He wasn't fooled by it. And then middle of the season, you're like, dude, he's swinging at that crap again. What is he doing? And then he laid off again. And he started to bounce back. But when he has this type of attitude that is just, again, more of the laissez-faire ilk, it makes you frustrated to go, does he even care? He can be an all-star hitter like he was 2 years ago, or he could be a guy that's hitting 230 and striking out a ton. What are you going to get from him if he's batting fifth? What are you going to get from him if he's batting sixth in this lineup? One of the questions I have coming out of spring training. And for me, I know that the greatest stat and the only one that matters is wins and losses. The only ones that matter are wins and losses. But I'd love to see Trey Turner in the leadoff spot. To me, the potential is there for the best possible Phillies lineup. Now, Kyle Schwarber as the cleanup hitter scares the hell out of me, because that's 200 strikeouts right there. 200 strikeouts. And if Castellanos isn't hitting, if JT isn't hitting, if Bohm isn't hitting with pop, and look, 20 home runs, fantastic for Alec Bohm. Got that 2 years ago. Came out of the gate last year like gangbusters when it came to hitting. He dealt with some injuries last year as well. But if you don't have anybody hitting behind Kyle Schwarber, then they're going to get him to chase stuff. And I know he's got a great eye. I know he can work walks. I know his on-base percentage is great. But 200 strikeouts with guys in scoring, like when the threat is there to have guys in scoring position, guys on base, Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, all that, it's concerning. I don't mind the idea of Turner as your leadoff hitter and Kyle Schwarber batting second and Bryce Harper batting third. I don't mind that 1-2-3 punch to start out games at all, especially if Schwarber's going to have to see fastballs hitting in front of Bryce Harper. I wouldn't mind that lineup. That's the lineup I'd be going for, at least in the 1-2-3, and then most likely Bohm, your cleanup hitter. But that's what I'm looking at. Phillies got a game today, 107. I think that today's a split squad day for the Phils. 107. I know they got, I think that's the Tigers. Anyway. Or no, I'm sorry, the Twins. That's who the Phillies got today. I think today's a split squad game. Let me just confirm that. No, that's just popping in my head. No, not the first half of the season, you fools. Yeah. Twins and Blue Jays. So Dunedin and Clearwater today for the Phils. So look forward to seeing how all that goes down. Once again, the Phillies start their season in D.C. 6 days from today. Can't wait for it. Before I get into the Eagles, I want to mention this. The Sixers had a rough night last night. The Toronto Raptors were in Golden State taking on the Warriors. Of course, the Sixers want the Toronto Raptors to lose, or excuse me, to win. And the Raptors were up 3 late in the game before Golden State came storming back and ended up winning by 3 in Golden State. And then the Brooklyn Nets were leading late against the Indiana Pacers in Indiana. And the Nets allowed the Pacers to come back. So both the Nets and the Raptors took losses last night. So the Sixers right now in the NBA standings are still trying to be one of the 6 worst teams in the entire NBA. And right now they have the Jazz is the worst team in the league, followed by the Wizards, the Hornets, the Pelicans, the Nets, the 5th worst team, and the Sixers still just a half game worse than the Raptors. So the Sixers still occupy the 6th worst spot. Could have helped the cause last night with wins from the Nets and the Raptors. A total of 8 points separated that. Great. So they just missed out on that. Sixers are playing the Spurs tonight, 8 o'clock in San Antonio as they continue this road trip. Flyers lost last night 3-2. Alexander Ovechkin got a goal. He's now 7 goals away from 894, breaking 894 and taking over the all-time NHL scorers spot. I don't know I think it's the next couple of games. Wayne Gretzky is going to start to follow Alexander Ovechkin around. I don't think the great one was in DC last night. At least I didn't see him on the telecast. But anyway, there you go. So that's what you got going on. As for your Philadelphia Eagles, been thinking about this a lot as you know, I know most of you have as well. But it has been a lackluster offseason in terms of adding firepower. There hasn't been a big acquisition. As I've described many times over, there's been no Howie wow me move. But there are guys here that are investments. And you can certainly make the argument that every player is an investment. Even Zach Bond, huge investment after his incredible season. But you look at last year. Bryce Huff, coming off a 10-sack season for the Jets, was supposed to be a difference maker. He was the biggest name acquisition other than Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who we were familiar with, coming to Philadelphia. Zach Bond ended up being the biggest impactful player acquired last year. Not even close. That's why he has been re-upped to a Kajunga deal. But the reason I bring it up is because last year people were excited about Bryce Huff. I had a lot of questions. Is he ready for this promotion? I mean, we were talking about a guy taking over for Hassan Reddick. We were talking about a guy not coming in and trying to take over for somebody playing 30 to 40 snaps. I mean, we talked about Brandon Graham going into last season as a guy that was playing 38% of the snaps. I ended up playing 41 in the time that he was healthy. An uptick. So you were depending on Bryce Huff to go from a 41% snap per game type of guy to a guy that was going to be filling in more so for Hassan Reddick at 71% of the snaps. That was going to be the goal. Couldn't have been worse. Even before injury, could not have been worse for this Eagles defense. A complete bust of a move, and the Eagles are still on the hook for 2 more years. So then you go into this offseason. You re-up with your linebacker. You extend Lane Johnson. You extend Saquon Barkley. You're coming off a Super Bowl year. And every acquisition that you've made, including moving on from one of your bigger acquisitions of last year in Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, every acquisition you made is a buy low, hope for high production. You're hoping every single one of these guys is Zach Bond, with the exception that Josh Uche has an 11.5 sack season 3 years ago with the Patriots. All right, cross my fingers for that. Then you also have a guy that has put up sack numbers when healthy in Azeez Ojulari, and you're looking at him going, all right, let's just stay on the football field, and you could have a 12-sack season, a 13-sack season. You can make everyone forget about a great Super Bowl that Josh Sweat had. And you'll be great. That's what they're doing. Adoree Jackson spent time with the Titans, spent time with the Giants. Obviously, he's been a division rival. We've noted a number of times here that he's got a pick 6 against Jalen Hurts. but not a Pro Bowler. A guy that you're looking at saying, all right, can he take the next step forward in a Vic Fangio defense? Can he hit the books this summer, understand the philosophy of Vic Fangio, and through mini camps, OTAs, and whatever, get on the same page as his other corners and his nickel in Cooper DeJean? Because don't forget, one of the big things here is communication. With Vic Fangio coming in, and not just the cover band of Vic Fangio's defense with whatever Jonathan Gannon was doing or Sean Desai, but actually having the real guy. One of the number one things that have been talked about, other than, it doesn't blitz. Nickel defense, quarters defense, excuse me. All that. The other thing is, the other buzzword is communication. That's another one that was thrown out by a ton of people. One that I was always throwing out was discipline, because I'd go back to a San Francisco 49er days and talk about how well disciplined that defense was. Well, last year, first 4 weeks of the season, undisciplined, terrible. Coming out of the bye week, everyone wants to focus on Saquon Barkley and how great he was, and by all means, yes, you're not wrong. But one of the other things was how much more disciplined this defense was, how much better they were at tackling. The numbers come out since Chauncey Gardner-Johnson has moved on. People need to stop missing Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Gave up the most touchdowns in coverage in 12 years. A lot of those came in the first 4 games of the season, first and foremost. And second, I'm not making excuses for the guy, but if I had to explain what the hell happened, the first year in the Fangio defense, not the Gannon Fangio defense, but the Fangio defense. So, yeah, some struggles. And then after that, he played well, extremely well. And if he doesn't go down, if he's not thrown out of a game against the Commanders, the Eagles sweep the Commanders this year, including in the playoffs, 3-0. It's hard to beat a team 3 times. Not if you're the Eagles and you're a super team. But the guys that you were bringing in to help you last year certainly helped, other than Bryce Huff. So now you're looking at guys to fill that void. You're not just looking to fill a void left behind by Josh Sweat moving on. You're also looking to fill a void left behind by the absolute abysmal failure of Bryce Huff in Philadelphia. And one of the main things I was talking about last year was he's got 1 year and he's got to prove he's ready for this promotion. And then if you remember, Vic Fangio took to the podium in training camp. And Vic Fangio started talking about Bryce Huff like he was an undrafted rookie free agent that's looking to prove himself. And I'm like, this guy's a $50 million player. What the? He sounds like he's getting an audition, not a job. Yeah, we'll see how he does. That kind of thing. I'm sure Howie was sweating that at that exact moment. So now you're going the complete other way. You're not looking to bring in a guy that's well-established, a guy that has the potential and looked like he was starting to reach it. It's not like Azeez Ojulari had 8 sacks last year and played 16 games. It's not like Josh Uche had 11 and a half sacks last year. No, those are 2 different teams. These are buy low, hopefully sell or keep high type of players. So again, you're not just looking to fill the void left behind by Josh Sweat moving on. You're looking to fill the void left behind by Bryce Huff being a bust. So the guys that I look at, Adoree Jackson, I've already referenced. I think is going to have a better 2025 than Darius Slay, Keely Ringo, or Isaiah Rodgers. He's going to be in a better defense. He's going to have a nickel and a corner that he can rely on. The question is, who's going to be at that safety position? I know Sidney Brown's already posted the workout videos. It's now right now before the draft with free agency to go, still the rest of the offseason to go. Right now it's Sidney Brown and Tristan McCullum as your safeties opposite Reed Blankenship. That's what you're looking at right now. So you bring in Adoree Jackson, you bring in Josh Uche, you bring in Azeez Ojulari. You're talking about those are the 3 biggest names that you have brought in so far in this offseason that you're going to have expectations for. You could always, look at some other players here to hopefully take a huge step forward as well. But those are the 3 big names to this point that the Eagles are looking at to make an impact. I think the leader in the clubhouse, odds-on favorite for the biggest expectations, and with it being fair, is Azeez Ojulari. I know a lot of people are going to hang their hat on the idea that, yeah, of course he was injured in New York. Everyone gets hurt at MetLife Stadium. We talked about that yesterday. But overall, the talent and the versatility. Yesterday, we played the cut for you. I'll play it again, where he was asked about the versatility that he brings to the table. And what's that going to do in a Vic Fangio defense?
I feel like I'm a versatile player. I'm a physical guy. I don't shy away from no type of contact. I'm an attack first type mentality guy. I can set the edge. I could tackle. I could rush the passer. I could bend. I feel like I could do it all.
And in his career, he has done it all. The question is not talent. The question is health. And this is why you get an opportunity on a 1-year, $4 million deal for him to prove that he can stay healthy and prove that he can be as good as he has been when he's played more consistently and over a longer period of time. And that doesn't happen unless he stays healthy. The growing concern that I'll mention throughout this offseason, you'll get tired of me saying it. You might be tired of me saying it already. But the problem I have here is that nobody knows it better than the Giants. And the Giants just see ya. Tired of dealing with the injury, moving on from him. Simple as that. And you got him on a 1-year deal. Nobody else was willing to roll the dice, just chalking it up, saying, oh, it's MetLife Stadium. Nah. The heck with that. He's going to be healthy if he's playing in Lambeau, for instance. Just as an example. But he came to Philadelphia. I know it's a little easier to go to a champion than it is anywhere else, so that might help. Familiarity with the Georgia Bulldogs, obviously, that helps. Vic Fangio, I'm sure that's got something to do with it. The other thing that I like about this is there's been conversation about not just money, but Vic Fangio not wanting Hassan Reddick. I don't think they're making any acquisitions on this defense without Vic Fangio going, yeah, I like that. There used to be this aura, this vibe with the Eagles where it was just Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie making all the decisions. I don't think you're bringing in Vic Fangio to ignore him. And I also don't think, despite Vic Fangio's love of Philadelphia sports, despite Vic Fangio, growing up not too far from Philadelphia, despite Vic Fangio's family being around here, and I mentioned my concern when he came to Philadelphia. If I had to pick one concern about Vic Fangio, is this just a cush retirement job for him? Like he could get a couple of more coordinator checks and still be around his family, and he just, whatever, retire with the Eagles. That's fine. I didn't say it was overriding my concern. I was overjoyed that he became the Eagles defensive coordinator. But that turned out to obviously not be the case in terms of him. Oh, it's just a cush retirement gig. No. This guy's all in, man. You're not having a meeting before the season saying it's not your fault. You just don't know how to work. It's not a cush retirement gig. After a Super Bowl, you're telling your players unacceptable. Like, you love that. It's not a guy just looking to, eat peeled grapes and be fanned. That's not a retirement gig. That's a guy who's still very much in it. So I would very much doubt that Vic Fangio is here to be a pushover. So if they're going and getting these guys on the defensive side of things, I would very much doubt they're not running these by Vic Fangio. And look, at the proof couldn't be more in the pudding when it comes to Zach Bond. Howie Roseman, here's what I think of this player. You watch this tape, you tell me. Vic Fangio's like, yep, nope, he's going to be an inside linebacker. Forget that outside stuff. Forget the special teams. He's my inside linebacker. It would be pretty dumb, and I don't think Howie's an idiot. It would be pretty dumb to ignore that guy. So one of the things I like about this is that you're not just making acquisitions to fill roster spots. Howie Roseman's just not, I need edge rushers, so I'm going to get some edge rushers. I need a corner, I'm going to get a corner. All this tape, all this stuff is being presented to Vic Fangio. And I have zero doubt that he's signing off on these. One by one. And after Zach Bond, I kind of got a good vibe. After the track record of Vic Fangio, I kind of got a good feeling about the acquisitions he's signing off on this defense. So that's why you can be confident that Adoree Jackson's going to work out here. That's why you can be confident that Uche is going to work out here. Bryce Huff, I don't know what the hell happened last year. I don't know who was signing off on that, but it was terrible. And maybe after Bryce Huff, they're consulting Vic Fangio even more. But of all the guys that I think you can look at and say, who is it fair to expect the most from, Ojulari would be the guy. Because, again, it comes down to health, not talent. The reason you walk it back a little bit, I think after that I would go to Adoree Jackson. Again, if I'm having expectations where he's going to have a better season than Darius Slay, I think I got some pretty good high expectations for Adoree Jackson. But number one, I would, without question, if I had to rank the three, the guy, Azeez Ojulari, would be my number one guy. Number two would be Adoree Jackson, stepping into this secondary that was just awesome last year. And then it would be Josh Uche. The fact that it was 1 year, like 11.5 sacks is 11.5 sacks. An 8-game run was incredible. Like, I was thinking about who are guys that just had an amazing flash and then we never saw it again. And the first guy that jumped to mind, you might have already said it to yourself, Dominic Brown. That was the first guy that I thought of. I was like, who had an incredible run? Like, even Bobby Hoying at the end of that year, he was incredible and then nothing. Like, how sure can you be that you could tap into an 11.5 sack version of Josh Uche? So I was thinking about it. I was like, all right, he's in New England. They let him go. He goes to Kansas City. Good defensive mind there, and Steve Spagnuolo. And then he goes into free agency, and that's that. I think he's going to have he's going to be a bigger version, I think, of Bryce Huff in terms of one-trick pony. One of the things that stuck out to me when you were listening to Uche last week was he talked about how he had his great run when he had essentially one responsibility. When Bill Belichick said to him, all right, have at it, that's when he went off with 11.5 sacks. He was working his ass off, was getting nothing for it, and then finally he broke through. Well, he broke through in 2 huge games where I believe in games where his defense had 15 sacks, he had 6 of them. 2 games. That's a nice run. That's a nice run. So I don't know if he's learned any new tricks since then. There's nothing to show that he has. But if anyone could tap into it, it would be Vic Fangio. So of the 3 names I mentioned on the defensive side of things to come in here and have impact, I think most people are like me, and they would rank them in terms of Ojulari, Jackson, and Uche. That's the way I look at it. I'm eager to see who comes in here to help in the second in terms of the safeties. I'm eager to see who comes in here on the defensive line because the Eagles aren't going into the season with just what you're seeing in front of you. If I had one guy to root for, I would love, like, Sidney Brown already has the aggression. He has that linebacker mentality, that old school linebacker mentality at the safety position. He wants to hit people. If that could be harnessed, and I'll say this throughout the offseason, if that could be harnessed, you're going to have something special. That's a big ask. If he's worthy of the promotion, I think Vic Fangio again. I'm gonna go back to what he always says. It's not him naming the starters; it's the players picking the starters. He just simply acknowledges it, and I think it's a smart way for any coach to go about it. Hey, let me tell you about the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Game, concert, comedy show. Game Time app has you covered. If you want to save yourself some money, use promo code Farzy. Get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. It's just that easy on the Game Time app. Also, you can view your seat before you buy it so you know exactly what you're buying and you're taking the guesswork out of buying tickets. So download the app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. Let's get into the chat check and see how you wonderful people are doing on this fine morning. Friday morning, everybody. Nice to see you. Sean Kilrain, good morning. Sean, this is insane, Farzy. Jalen Hurts, 2025 cap, $21.9 million. Dak Prescott cap hit, $89.9 million. Well, as the Cowboys have said this offseason, and we've highlighted on this show many a time, Sean, the Cowboys could learn a lot from the Eagles. Cowboys could learn a lot from the Eagles. I'm pretty sure that's why they signed Miles Sanders. Tell us everything you know. First time. Hi, Danny. How you doing? Sean Gillespie. Hello. Wine Niners Wine. Farzy and friends, Howie is in full effect. National pundits loving what Howie did, even losing all the overpaid talent. I mean, I've seen Howie getting love, but I haven't seen Howie getting love for this offseason. Huh. Sean Kilrain. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I haven't seen it. And I'll now be looking for it. Wine Niners Wine. Thank you. Sean Kilrain, hello. Ripped off T. Higgins with fake 4-year deal. You swapped a fully guaranteed $26.16 million tag for a deal with 0 2025 guarantees, just $10 million fully guaranteed. Damn. 2026. Since he holds year-to-year option making. Good Lord. I didn't see the details for T. Higgins yet. That's great. Wait, what? Sean Kelly, combined stats for spring, Alvarado, Romano. He goes Romano? Is that what I'm hearing? Romano? Orion Kirkering, 21 innings pitched, 10 hits, 1 earned run, 5 walks. I know the bullpen's been on fire. Again, if we're going to go by the regular standard here, Sean, the regular standard is that the Philadelphia Phillies bullpen is going to be amazing. Because the standard is, if the spring training numbers are good, then they're going to be great. If the spring training numbers are bad, they're working on pitches. But no, great spring training numbers there. Thank you. Here, let me give them again for people. 21 innings pitched by Romano, Kirkering, Alvarado, 10 hits, 1 run, one earned run in 21 innings pitched. Pretty damn good. 34 strikeouts. 0.43 ERA. Sean Gillespie, damn, Jerry Jones is doing an excellent job as manager and GM. May he live forever. Well, that's why he's got so many different faces. Every time he gets a new face, it's 7 more years of Jerry Jones. It's like a groundhog seeing his shadow. Oh, my new face. 7 more years. Morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Hello, JB. Happy Friday. Sixers, go Sixers. More importantly, Farzi, are you still doing the postgame show? Yes. Excuse me. Locked On Sports. Don't tell anyone I told you. Locked On Sports. I will continue to do Sixers post games for the remaining 13 games, I believe, of the season. I will do Sixers post games on Locked On Sports Philadelphia's YouTube channel. When the Phillies season starts in 6 days, I will be doing Phillies post games on Locked On Phillies YouTube channel. Connor Thomas does the daily podcast on that channel. I will be doing the postcast on that channel, and I couldn't be more thrilled to be with Locked On again for another season. Having a lot of fun talking baseball. The shows will be 15 minutes. It'll be the fastest 15 minutes you can have. We'll talk about it all. Sometimes we'll go a little longer. But here's one thing. You can count a little bit more on the start time being right after the game. A couple minutes after the game, I'll be on with you guys. So, yes, I will be on Locked On Phillies YouTube channel doing postcasts for this Philly season. Thank you, Go Sixers. Oh, Go Sixers. Come on. Can't stand Stubbs? Seriously? Love Garrett Stubbs. Total NFL player suspension since 2020. Yes, I saw this. The Eagles are the only team to not have a suspension. Yeah, 0 for your Eagles, right? I think they're the only team in the NFL to not have a player suspension since 2020. That's pretty amazing. Oh, geez. Sean, you have the numbers? Lions have 60, Colts 54, Kansas City has 40, the Winers 38, Saints 35, the top 5. Look at that. Look at that. Mr. Vibe, deuces, it's been real. Marche time now. I agree. Andrew Jackson, hello. Good morning, go Birds. Jeremy, what's up, Jeremy? How you doing, man? It's all load management. Salvador Perez in Kansas City, same thing. Must keep JT healthy. I've been saying Marshawn is the guy for the last 3 years. Needs to stay healthy as well. Switch hitter, better arm. I'm with you, Jeremy. Same page. Say it to Kristen for me. Oh, this is interesting. JB, if all the young players actually step up and become good starters, then special teams could take a big step back. Interesting. Okay. Vic doesn't eat peeled grapes. He smashes. JB, phenomenal line. Vic doesn't eat peeled grapes. He smashes them into fine Dago wine. Thank you. That's a direct quote from Vic Fangio. No one's getting mad here. Bryce Huff, what's up? Bryce Puff. Okay, I see what you did there. Was a product of our beloved analytics department. Thank you, Julian Laurie. Trade him in San Francisco. He belongs with Robert Saleh. I like it. Greg Benson, welcome to the party, pal. Speaking of that line, I just saw Alec. It's one of those things that just popped up in my algo. Alan Rickman is Rickman or Reichman? Rickman. Alan Rickman. His first movie ever was Die Hard. I think he was a Shakespearean actor, if I'm not mistaken. And then he did Die Hard in '88 and was amazing as Hans Gruber. What shall I call you, cowboy? Just another American. All right. Anyway, sorry. That was his first movie. So that made me think of it because of my other reference. Welcome to the party, pal. That's why I have an idiot Family Guy brain. Thanks for staying with me. But thank you, Greg. Welcome to the party. The Vic neuters Sidney Brown during OTAs and camp. And I think we have a player back there. There we go. I got to neuter you. Just come here. It's fine. This will make you a better safety. Come here. You want to sign a deal like Bonds? Get over here. Oh, Rich Eisen 10-minute listen. Top 5 offseason so far. Oh. PFF Florio thinking jumping off Vikings to Eagles. Thank you, Wine Niners Wine. I love it. Mr. Sandman, seen you on television yesterday. You saw me on television yesterday. You ranked Isaiah Thomas over John Stockton Academy Award winning performance. That's greatest sports legends, baby. Greatest sports legends then and now. I ranked Isaiah Thomas? Huh. Yeah, I probably did. Babs! What's up, Babs? Getting ready for opening day. Me too. Oh, Babs, the fact that you called me hon, that warms me. That's just it's like I just got hugged. Dropping a hun on me. Hey, hon. I love that. Oh man. There's a woman at my kids now Leo's daycare who is so Northeast Philadelphia. Hey, hon. And I'm like, oh, I love that. I don't know what it is about Northeast moms dropping I don't know. Babs, I don't even know if you're a Northeast mom, but I'm just saying, drop a hun. Oh, love it. Babs, I'll probably go over 15 minutes on the postcast. Technically, Isaiah Rodgers was suspended when the Eagles signed him. That's true. Locked On Phillies. I will absolutely be tweeting that out. But it's Locked On Philly. I think it's just Locked On Phillies on YouTube, so you guys can see me there. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful, as per usual. Let's get to the morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Your Philadelphia 76ers, 8 o'clock tonight. I didn't check to see who else is going tonight, but they got 8 o'clock tonight. Spurs. Lonnie Walker could be back with the team after his concussion. But Magic and Wizards, Rockets and Heat, Pelicans, Timberwolves, Hornets, Thunder, Sixers, Spurs, Pistons, Mavericks. Those are nobody else that we care about is on a back-to-back. So the Raptors and the Nets are both off. They play. The Nets are at the Pacers again on Saturday. Wow, the Raptors don't play for a minute here. They don't play till Sunday. Sixers Hawks will be Sunday. Raptors host the Spurs on Sunday. And the Nets aren't playing. So there you go. Your Flyers, I mentioned the 3-2 loss. Alexander Ovechkin got the goal last night. Now 7 away from breaking Gretzky's record. The Flyers' third straight loss. But hey, here's the good news. They scored 2 goals. They had scored no goals in the previous 2 games. They're back at it tomorrow against the Stars in Dallas. 2 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow. So that's what you got with your Philadelphia Flyers. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Wonderful to have you guys along for the show. Once again, I will be on Locked On 76er. I'll be Locked On Philadelphia, Locked On Sports Philadelphia postcast tonight after the Sixers game. I'll be back with you guys Monday morning for the Farzy Show as well. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Back with you guys tonight and tomorrow morning. See you guys then.